My name is Wendy, and I'm a member of VOICE, a grassroots citizen action organization working to give Oak Park residents a greater voice in what happens in our community. Many of us are concerned about the lack of transparency and accountability in village government, especially the process by which new high-rise construction projects have been approved in recent years over strong community opposition. We're standing in the heart of Oak Park, overlooking 835 Lake Street, the site of the latest proposal for such a building. It would rise more than 20 stories, overshadowing Unity Temple to the west, Scoville Park and our main public library to the north, and the Avenue Business District and Vintage Residences to the east. To restore independent voices and community accountability to the village board, VOICE is endorsing 3 candidates for the election coming up on April 2nd. Tim Thomas, Christian Harris, and Joshua Klayman. Tim, Christian, and Josh have created a joint statement on appropriate development policy, which I will now read, after which each of them will say a few words. This is the statement. We 3 candidates for trustee in 2019, Tim Thomas, Christian Harris, and Joshua Klayman, recognize that Oak Park, like all towns, needs to encourage appropriate development in order to thrive. We emphasize appropriate. Appropriate development provides new housing opportunities for people at all different income levels and new opportunities for local businesses and jobs, while respecting and enhancing the unique character of the village and its neighborhoods and protecting the environment. There is plenty of potential for appropriate, moderately scaled development in the village, and there are many existing structures suitable for rehabilitation. A larger development project could be appropriate, but it must be limited in size and restricted to one of the few sites that are particularly well suited for such projects. Citizens, particularly neighbors and local businesses, must be included in the entire design and selection process, not just at the end, and any development beyond established zoning must provide solid evidence that it will have a positive impact on the quality of life of its neighbors and of the village at large. Appropriate development should take place throughout the village and not just be concentrated in and around downtown Oak Park. There are 2 existing comprehensive plans that should guide development in downtown: the Envision Oak Park Plan and the Greater Downtown Master Plan. Recent and proposed high-rise developments have violated the letter and spirit of those plans. All future development, wherever it is in Oak Park, must conform to the comprehensive plans for its district that are created with extensive input from diverse citizens, community organizations, and independent experts. The 3 of us have signed on to a set of principles proposed by the Oak Park community advocacy group VOICE, including these. We pledge that as trustees, we will work to establish clear, uniform limits on zoning exceptions and approve only those exceptions that conform to citizen-supported neighborhood plans. Enhance Oak Park's natural environment and public green spaces and adopt sustainable practices throughout the village. Revise or create neighborhood plans to reflect the priorities of residents and local businesses. Promote affordable, integrated neighborhoods instead of subsidizing gentrification. Support existing local businesses and new businesses that neighbors want.
Hi, I'm Tim Thomas, and wow, it is really cold out here. You know, as a candidate for village trustee and as a resident, I want to see development projects that are in line with the needs of the community and characteristics of the neighborhood that it's being proposed to go in. Residents should feel like the government is on their side and not advocates for developers. And if a developer is requesting a deviation or a variance from current community standards and building codes, there should be a significant benefit to the community before that variance is even granted, and the community should have input in that decision-making process. We need a process that is designed and allows for the community to have meaningful input early on and not after key decisions have already been made. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Christian Harris, and I am proud today to stand with the residents that live around 835 Lake Street and ask that they have a voice in this process. It is my sincere belief that any time a development goes outside the scope of zoning, we must have the local residents involved in that process. Let me be very clear. My presence here today does not mean that I am against development. On the contrary, I am pro-development on North Avenue and in Northeast Oak Park. I am pro-development on Madison Street and making it into a more thriving business district. I am pro-developing areas of this village that have been underserved and making sure that there is affordable places to live for everyone. I am here today because we are focused on downtown Oak Park, and it is time to shift our focus to other parts of the village. I am proud today to stand with the residents here because we all want what's best for this community, and we all know what it can be. Thank you.
I'm Joshua Klayman, and I'm happy to add to the comments of the two people I hope will be my future colleagues, Tim and Christian. I want to emphasize again that we are not anti-development. Our statement again begins with, quote, "We recognize that Oak Park, like all towns, needs to encourage appropriate development in order to thrive." But the village seems to be stuck on just one kind of development. Massive downtown glass high-rises with one floor of retail and 10 or 20 or 25 stories of apartments above. There is no adherence to any overall plan, just a grab for any opportunity that big developers present. The goal seems to be to make Oak Park some kind of extension of the West Loop or some kind of landlocked version of a North Shore suburb. That's not what Oak Parkers want for this village. Developers claim that these massive developments will help keep taxes down, but research by economists and urban planners say that that just doesn't work. All those extra people that the development brings in, the services to those people soak up the taxes, and so you end up pretty much right back where you started. Look at the chart of rising property taxes in this town and tell me if you can see any of the decreases that happen from the high rises that have already been built. A big part of the problem is how development is handled. The approval process is broken. Right now, big developers first go to village staff, then village staff refers the projects to something called the Oak Park Economic Development Corporation. That corporation is, on the books, a private consultant. But, in fact, they act as a closed-door branch of village government, with the village president, the village manager, and a village trustee on their board. And yet, because they are technically a private company, they are exempt from open meeting rules and from freedom of information requests, or at least they claim so. No large development takes place in this town unless the Economic Development Corporation says so. And those decisions are made with no public involvement. This has to change. When we think about development, we need to think about revitalizing different parts of the village, just as Christian was saying. And we need to think about housing for working class residents and middle class residents. And very importantly, we need to keep this an economically integrated village, not luxury over here and affordable over there. We need to implement what's called an inclusionary zoning ordinance to make sure that happens, and we need one with teeth. We recognize, for example, that this U.S. Bank drive-through is not the best use of this site, but building another massive high-rise tower here is not appropriate. Perhaps the proposal from Gullib & Company will go away. Maybe it will and maybe it won't. But even if it does go away, there will be a next one. We need a more open, inclusive, and innovative process for making good use of the limited territory we have within the borders of our village. Thank you.